starting in a pre-qualification process, one of the biggest mistakes that's made right now in the industry is the loan originator's lack of questioning and lack of collecting the appropriate documentation. There's a multitude of reasons why this is so important to be so very thorough. And I know that I ask for a lot. I ask for what I know an underwriter is going to ask me for. I also have to ask because I have to see everything about the client. I have to know everything about the borrower's taxes, their assets, their income, where they've come from, where they're going, what their financial goals are. I need to see the whole picture so that I am able to do the best job possible to determine, based on the qualifications they have, the kind of lending programs that we're going to choose for them that are best suited for them, what that underwriter is going to be asking for, and I need to see it in first so that I'm able to make sure that we're going to be okay going through that escrow process with the underwriter. So unlike some people who are out in my industry, they may not ask enough questions. I had one client tell me that they came in and said, give me a pay stub and you're good to go. Well, that's impossible. There's no way that you can know enough about someone on a pay stub. And there's no way, there's no lender on this planet that's going to lend based on for that criteria. I don't care if you have an 850 FICO and $500,000 in the bank. That is not going to happen. So when you're going through the process of pre-qualification, and I'm asking for 2 years tax returns, I'm going to ask for 2 months of bank statements, all pages, even if the page is blank. There's a reason for this. The lender wants to see all pages. If it says 1 of 5 and I give them 4, they want to know what's on that 5th page. And if the 5th page is blank, which often it is, they need to be satisfied that they've seen that 5th page. When I ask for federal tax returns, all schedules, it means everything attached to that tax return except state. I don't need anything to do with the state. I need the most current. I need the W-2s. It's very important. I have to match the W-2s because they're going to match the W-2s to the employment history. They're going to match up those dates. That has to be exact on the loan application when it's sent to the lender because that's exactly how the underwriter is going to follow it. I need 2 months, or I need 1 month, a complete full month of pay stubs if somebody's a salaried employee. I have to know if you're salary or hourly. If you're salary, they will allow you to use the income currently presented on your pay stub. If you are hourly and or your salary with commission, they will average that commission over 24 months, and that's the amount that they're going to give you. If you're hourly, they're going to take your last 2 years' tax returns, and they're going to average those over 24 months, and that will be given your monthly amount, regardless of how much you might be making over and above that. That's how an underwriter is going to look at your income base. If you're self-employed, and your last 2 years of tax returns on your 1040 show that you're in the negative, there's no income. Just accept that. There's no income. They're not going to use profit and loss statements current year to date right now. They're going to take your last 2 years tax returns. They're going to take your net. They will add back in any depreciation that you've taken out for a self-employed person, but that's the only add-in that you get back. Everything else, that's your income, and they're going to average that over 24 months. So if your 2009 tax return showed you not making any money, and 2010 showed you did quite well, your 2009 is going to kill your income base because they're going to add that to the 2010 and then they're going to average it over 24 months, and that's what they're going to give us as an income allocation for your qualification base. So there are reasons behind all of this. We read tax returns for a very good reason. If we see anything on that tax return that could indicate to the underwriter that they might need to ask more questions, it's my job to ask those questions going in so that you're not asked them by the underwriter down the road where we can't answer them, or I don't know the answer, or I find out we're not going to be able to get loan approval because the answer is not satisfied by the underwriter. Not a good thing to find out when you're in escrow. Always better to be looking ahead. With respect to information on gift funds, I asked for this of a home buyer. Are you receiving gift funds going into the transaction? If those monies have not already been in one of your accounts for 60 days, I must have a gift letter from the individual gifting, and it must be a family member. Cannot be a boyfriend, a friend down the street, your best friend from college. It has to be a family member. And I'm going to need 2 months of bank statements for a 60-day seasoning of that person who held the funds before they gave it to you. A lot of times this comes into be a major issue. The person giving the funds doesn't want to give up their information and their bank statements. So they have to be willing to do this if you're going to be gifted money by them. Expect that that's going to be requested. There's a paper trail on every part of your transaction. Another critical aspect, running credit in the beginning to see where we're starting from. There's no reason a loan originator should be running your credit on and off throughout the transaction process during the time you are pre-qualified to the time you close escrow. You should be running one baseline credit report, and as long as nothing's changed and you've fully educated your buyers, there's no reason to be running another one. The lender will be doing that prior to funding. It's important that the buyers are informed that they are not to make any credit purchases, no payoffs, and no changes without first consulting the loan originator in this process. This can strongly affect your credit score and how it's determined. And the last thing you want to show up the day of funding is an additional debt that has not been disclosed up front. One, it's a severe issue for the lender. We have now what's called mortgage fraud. There's a mandated FBI task force that's assigned to working with the mortgage loan originators. They work from the lender standpoint, and it is a 30-year federal prison term to not disclose debt during a loan transaction. So that's another reason we read everything, we research everything, and we ask a lot of questions. And it's to protect you, and it's to protect us. And it's to make sure through the process you have a successful closing in escrow.